Good morning, gardening friends. Today is Sunday, January 12th, and it has been chilly. Needless to say, I've got a fire going in my fireplace. Miss Mimi is out and about, wondering who I'm talking to. Hello, Miss Mimi. No, you can't go out just yet. She's probably going to go back in her bed and go to sleep under her blanket. But yeah, it has been cold here. We've had, I guess, 3 nights where it got down to about 29 or 28. And then about 3 or 4 more nights that it got down to at least freezing or at least 30, somewhere 30 to 32. So we've had some frosts and some hard frosts. But I hope you all are staying warm. Let's see what it looks like outside. Here in the front porch, all is well. I took the time last week, since it was so chilly, to pretty much do some cleanup and preening of my plants out here. Everything looks pretty good. My amaryllis are blooming. 2 stalks there. 1 stalk here will open this week. Let's see if there's anything else of note up here. Not really. Same stuff. The Nepenthes is doing pretty well in this spot. I do have to fill the pitchers up about twice a week. I'm not so sure if I have to do that or not. The jury is out if you Google it as to whether or not to fill them, because it says if they're not filled, they will dry up. And what is the point of having a pitcher plant if it has no pitchers? So I have a little 50 ml syringe I use with some filtered water that I put in there. My poinsettia is still blooming. I really do like the staghorn fern in its new pot. I have a few blooms on my Christmas cactus. There is a mix of Christmas and Thanksgiving, although looking at the, here's the Thanksgiving has the points and the Christmas is smooth. I did bring the stock in that I had on the back deck, and you can see there I put the last 2 amaryllis in pots this week, one here and one on the other side of the stock. So they should be blooming in about another month. And that'll finish off the amaryllis for the year. I still have some paper whites. I've got 2, well, I've got a dozen, enough for 2 containers of paper whites yet in my refrigerator. It got down to 30 last night. Pansies, of course, are unaffected by cold. The agaves can be affected. It may be a little early yet to see. Everything here looks okay. You can see some of the wandering dude got hit, but the amaryllis itself is looking good. I'm not so sure about this cycad because this leafed out late in the season. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. The cycad itself will live, but it's possible that the cold may cause all that foliage to turn brown. Let me step back here and show you the bananas. The bananas, you can see, have been hit by frost, but they're not totally dead yet. If you look up underneath, you can still see bright green where it's been protected. This is a southern exposure, and it's in the crotch of this house here, so it gets a little extra protection. But you see some lush green yet in amongst the leaves. That's why I didn't cut anything down here, figuring they might protect each other. Grass is still, of course, looking good. I am shocked beyond belief that the cassia has not yet turned brown. Of course, it is protected by this tree and that tree, the loquat and the magnolia. So go figure. Nandine is looking nice with the berries there. My little evergreen that I planted this year is looking good. Cryptomeria. So far, my cactus is fine. It doesn't typically die, but what it'll do in cold weather is it'll flop down to the ground. But since I have such woody stems at the base, mine doesn't do that. But it is still possible to lose the top, so I'm not going to brag too much. But at least right now, it doesn't appear to have any damage. Let's take a look at the camellias. Lots of buds. This one still has lots of buds. This one does get damaged. It's one of the later blooming ones that I have. And if you get a lot of hard frost, the buds will brown on the outer edges. Well, you can see the flowers on the Encore azaleas don't like cold. Because they're absolutely all fried. However, the bush is still good and new buds will come. This camellia is still looking nice. Still blooming. Let's see what it... You remember that one? It did. That's what the damage looks like to frost. It turns the outer petals brown. And oh my goodness, here is my high fragrance. Ooh, fell in a hole here. Stepped in a hole. Let me see if I can smell it. Yeah, it has a faint scent today of hyacinth. Maybe a little too cold for it to get very far, but it is pretty. I think that'll be the plant of the week. My yellow camellia doesn't look like any of the buds got hurt, so they're doing well. This is the time of the year that the nandinas really look their best with the red berries on them. And they'll keep those berries well into the spring. I did notice here the frost did get my ginger lily, the butterfly ginger, but it does not appear yet to have affected my Mexican petunias. They are a weed if you ever plant them in your garden, but they do look pretty when they bloom. Of course, I bought blue ones, and the ones that come up for me seem to be pink. Quite annoying, but I'll be thankful for the pink at least. It's something. Here you can see the bee balm got touched but not killed. Marjoram down there is still looking good. Most herbs are pretty resilient or resistant to frost. My lemongrass shows no damage yet, but you can see the inner leaves are much greener than the outer leaves. I guess I take that back. It does show some damage. But you only eat the very base, or use in cooking. You really don't eat it. It's a flavoring. But you only use the very base of the leaf. And that's well protected. Over here, all is looking well. Again, the amaryllis have not yet been fried or frozen. I kind of think they need to be killed back in order to send them into dormancy, and then they'll bloom in the spring when the new leaves come up. Here is one of those Mexican petunias. Only in this location, it is a weed. Ooh, I smell my fire burning in the house. Here all is well. I moved my agave Since it's so small, I tucked it in here underneath these other bushes, so they're a little protected. Hopefully you can see that. It's in this pot. And here's how I protect my Australian tree fern. I wrap the trunk with a blanket and put some string around the outside of it. And then what I do is I tuck leaves down into the top of it. So far, so good. These top branches were hit. Of course, it may be a little too early to tell. It may take a week or so to show damage, but so far, so good. It's looking promising. These satsumas I'm just going to let fall off the tree. Be good fertilizer. These were the ones that came out dry. Pithy is what I call them. But they still look pretty on the tree. Here are the white ivy, or variegated ivy, is looking okay. I don't know why this one, suddenly parts of it died this summer. This one died altogether. And since I have really good luck with jasmine in topiaries or forms like this, I figured as they die, I will replace them with jasmine. And you can see the cold doesn't touch the jasmine at all. Doesn't affect it yet. This ivy topiary looks the best. My cordyline is looking okay. I tucked my pots next to the house in both cases. The main reason being not so much the plants that are in them, but the actual pots themselves. The shapes of those pots lend themselves to being broken when frozen. I've had bad experiences with those in the past. What I do before the frost comes is I take a stick. Actually, it's a painting extension for a roller, and I stick it in the ground as far down as it will go in basically each corner. Well, it doesn't have a corner, in 4 spaces around the pot. Don't know if it works or not, but the pots don't seem to be breaking as much when I do that. Here's still another blossom on this double pink. Let's see what's going on in the backyard. My Pieris japonica is still doing well. Didn't bother the buds, the cold. Let's go ahead and close this. And might as well lock it. We won't be going back that way. There's Kimberly fern that has lasted through the frost. Again, a protected spot. Of course, there's rattlesnake weed there. that has made it through the frost. There inside is, or next to that light, is one of my Lenten roses. It looks like my wandering dude here has succumbed. However, the shoots near the ground are still good, and the roots will be good. So you can't kill that stuff. If you just throw it on the ground, it will root. Back in here, it was protected, so the wandering dude wasn't touched. Camellias, still blooming. Oh, and one over here. I almost forgot. These camellias are starting to bloom. I wish I knew the name of them. I have 4 of them. I bought them from Lowe's many years ago. And I've tried finding the name of them, but I have been unsuccessful. It had a woman's name. I remember that much. Don't remember what the name was, but oh goodness. It's getting chilly. It's probably about 35, 40 right now, and there's a little bit of a breeze. This looks much better, the camellia, when the branches were taken off the top of it. Oh, there's Oscar. Here you can see the pinecone gingers. They probably have a scientific name. I call them pinecone gingers because that looks like a pine cone. They do not like cold, and they let you know it. There's another one back in there. Now what's at the base of that is cardamom ginger. It does not like the cold, but that's a protected spot. I'll see, they'll turn brown, you'll have to cut them back. These are a little more exposed, and if I take a close-up, you can see frost damage. It's got brown coloration. So they show pretty much instantly that they've been frostbit. Vincas are gone. That particular amaryllis has been frostbit. The satsumas here haven't been picked yet, or haven't had much picked yet. I will be picking more. Frost doesn't hurt the fruit because it detaches from the shell. That's what makes it a satsuma. So it can stand a hard frost and the fruit will still be good. Now it won't be good forever. It'll be good for maybe a week or so, or 2 weeks after the frost, and then it all turns to mush. This pot looks good. I like that combination. That should last all summer. We shall see. Right now my nose is plugged up, so I can't tell you if it's blooming. I mean, if it has a scent. These look really good. And a nice thing about having pansies at eye level is you can smell the scent. Let's go in here. Here, of course, is where I winter over a lot of my pots. And you can see how humid it is in here. My Japanese ground orchids are sprouting. The first cold weather knocked them back, and they're starting to sprout now. My poor amaryllis was very dry. Yesterday I watered it, but you can see the flowers are coming back. A little late, but it's blooming. It's about a 4-year-old amaryllis, poinsettia. All of this is looking good. These bougainvillea I put outside for the rains that we had, also so I could do laundry. If you don't know, now you can see thorns. Not a good plant to have in a walkway. Take my word on that. These plants are doing okay. My poor rose is probably not. I may bring that in the house. I have a spot for it near a window. Pussy willows still doing well after about 15 years. I bought them many years ago. And the trick to pussy willows is if you don't move them, they won't fall off. So I put glass beads in the pot and don't touch them. Up north, I had a huge pussy willow bush in the ground. You'd have to compass it about every 5 years. But we would always have lots and lots of pussy willows, always the first thing in the spring. Oh, my nose is running. This ginger is untouched. This ginger got burned. Oh, there's Pickle. They're getting tamer. They're feral cats. But since I feed them every morning, I was actually able to touch the black one that I call Dilly. Oh, I see my blanket has fallen off of my lady palm. I guess the winds broke it off, or blew it off. Too early to tell if it has any damage, but definitely the tips have been affected. I think I'll just put it over here. Get it off the ground for now. Okay, here you can see what a dead angel's trumpet looks like. However, the roots should still be good. Now that bromeliad stayed out. I did not protect it in any way. So far, so good. You can see the covering of the bloom stalk on my palm, pindo palm, is breaking from the frost. It almost looks like a hyli. An implement, I don't know what you call those things. Here you can see definitely pleated palm turning brown. Unlike aspidistras will stay green, they will freeze solid and not be bothered. Ferns are still doing well under there. These ferns will get browned off if left unprotected, but the cycads are doing a good job of protecting them. I'm not so sure. Let me look up. It looks like there is some browning starting to take effect on the Canary Island date palm. It won't kill the palm. Well, it will eventually, but if the top dies back, it'll still grow back from the stalk. So it does look like it got touched. I'm not terribly worried about it dying because it's lived through many other winters. I've had that now for about 30 years. That was one of the first palms, besides this pindo, that I planted. Actually, I had it planted because it was too big. It had no stalk when it was planted. It was all just leaves coming out of the ground, but they were picky, so I paid the company to deliver it and plant it. Oh, it looks like this has some damage. I didn't see this change in coloration before. It seems to be on the smaller ones, even on these over here. Turning into camo. Yeah, it is what it is. There's Dilly again. And the older version doesn't have that problem. Still have a blossom on my yellow rose, the knockout. I should be getting buds pretty soon on this plum. I'm hoping to have some plums this year. Those bananas behind the little female statue there, you can tell they got hit back. They will die back to the ground, or I'll cut them to the ground and they'll come back again next year. That angel's trumpet is dead, certifiably. The roots again should still be viable. Now in this shed is where I put some of my pots with plants in them, and I have a light on in there. It doesn't freeze, but it's not heated. But I put some of the 3 pots that I used to have over here. I can't replace them. And so I protect them by putting them up when we get a hard frost. I will be bringing them out next week. It looks like we have one more week of cold weather. There you can see some more of the ginger lilies, the pinecone gingers. And here, definitely the angel's trumpets are gone. Now you can really appreciate the pecan right there. This is a 2 years worth of growth from a nut. And it is, I am about 6 foot, although I'm shrinking as I age. I would say that's already 8 foot tall. 8 feet in 2 years, starting from a nut. That's pretty good. Fatsias, I don't expect any damage on the Fatsias. And of course the Nandinas back here are still looking good. Looks like maybe that Mediterranean fan got a little touch. Time will tell. Again, it'll survive. The kumquats are starting to fall off the tree. These camellias haven't bloomed yet, but they're coming. It doesn't look like they have any damage. Why this particular one is turning yellow, I don't know. But I fertilize it like I do all the others. Oh, there's Dilly. I was actually able to pet him this morning when I fed him. Well, actually, I wouldn't call it a pet. I was able to touch his back before he ran away. But he didn't hiss and spit and do all other stuff, so that's a good sign. If I can tame them, I will get them fixed and let them be house cats. Don't tell Mimi that. But Mimi is going on 20. So she needs a replacement in the works. Back in here, pretty much everything's looking fine. I did lose this one rose. I'm looking, I usually get them bare root, they're Oklahoma. But I need to do a little work under the deck here. So when I take that rose out, I'll do a little bit of work under the deck and be done with it. Over here, Nandinas do really well in pots. I will warn you, if you put them in a pot in the garden on the ground, they will root into the ground and come up around the pot. They are extremely invasive, but nice in a pot. So far, my equisetum has not been touched by the frost. Everything here looks pretty good. Let's go in the kitchen. Here's where I keep my cyclamen. It's a perfect spot under that pie safe where I keep all of my pantry supplies, because it's over, I can open and close the pie safe over the top of the cyclamen without bothering them. Back in here is that aspidistra I potted up last year and put it out on the deck for the summer. I want to single-handedly bring back aspidistra as a pot plant. It really is cast iron. Over here you can see where the Christmas tree was. It now has my ponytail palm. It has lived there in past years. And this year I put the, what is that, peace plant there. That peace plant I bought many years ago as a house plant. Actually, I put it in a dish garden. Dish, D-I-S-H, dish garden. And it was only about 6 inches tall. And this is probably about 10 or 12 years later. It does really well. And there you have it for today. I'm going to throw another log on the fire. I turn my recliner around. Let me take my hat off here. I turn my recliner around to face it so I can enjoy the fire. So I hope you all are staying warm and that you have a good week. And I do keep the people in California in my thoughts and prayers that have lost their homes. Some of them may be rich, but still they don't deserve to lose their homes. It's not something I would wish on anyone. So, have a good week. I will see you next time.